Do you want to start getting with hotter women? Are you frustrated that you can't get the type of girl you really want? You see, there's one big mistake guys make when they go for model quality girls. And no, it's not that you treat them differently. And by the time you finish watching this video, you know exactly what it takes to get the types of girls that usually don't swipe on you on Tinder or just ignore you in the club. I'm Marcus Wolf, an international dating and sex coach. And each week I'm gonna take you through and show you how to be a better version of yourself inside and outside the bedroom, so you can start to attract the types of girls you really like and deserve. Are hot girls easier or the same to build attraction with than your average girl? Well, no, they're not. By definition, they have more access to high quality guys, so it's going to be more difficult. What a lot of guys think is that you should just treat every single girl the same, but that's actually not true. You have to treat them differently because they are different. Sure, I mean, there are some hot girls that don't get open as much, might be more insecure or not view themselves as highly. But there was actually a study done by the Journal of Social Psychology, and it found that those that are objectively better looking tend to have a better self-esteem, more confidence, and will be more pickier with the opposite sex. Now, before anyone gets PC on me here, I am going to be describing attractiveness and looks on a scale of 1 to 10. Now, it is a little bit subjective, and the fact that my 10 is probably going to look different to your 10. But objectively speaking, we can all agree, we can use some common sense here. We know what I'm talking about when I say a 10 out of 10 girl, and we know what I'm talking about when we're talking about looks in terms of a 5 out of 10. So when it comes to a 10 out of 10 girl in terms of looks, they're often going to reject you a little bit more. And they might even have an ego around it. If they view their value solely based on looks, it can create this almost rejection ego, the same way a guy might respond to a girl. So if you go out to a girl and you think, fuck, she's really attractive, you gotta speak to her, and she's like, oh, go away, I don't wanna speak to you. You often see guys walk back to their friends. And what do they say? It's like, oh, I didn't like her anyway, oh, she's a bitch. And they use these words and this like rejection to protect their own ego. And sometimes girls that are very hot will do the same. So what that means is a lot of times when you're approaching these girls, you're more likely to get rejected. Now, the next difference with these types of girls is they often hit on a lot. Now, yes, it is a phenomenon that maybe an 8 or someone slightly less attractive will get more attention and hit on more because guys are less intimidated. But what you'll also find is these 10 out of 10 girls are often hit on very poorly. And I find this, like when I'm out and I'm with these girls that are extremely attractive, everyone's turning their heads. The guys that approach are usually a little bit intoxicated because they've built up their courage, or they're just socially unaware. Or when they do approach, it's so indirect that it's like they're just trying to be friends, they're trying to be nice, they're so worried about fucking it up, and they're just happy that they're getting some attention from this girl, even if it's not under a sexual frame. They also have fewer viable options. So yeah, guys, it can be tough being an extremely hot girl in this world. Because if you're that hot, then you need to date men that are in your caliber. So if you're a girl that is a 6, 7 out of 10, you can date a bunch of guys that are above that. But when you're a girl that's a 10 out of 10, you have a very limited, like, viable option in the dating field. So yes, hot girls are different and you should treat them differently. And that goes for any girl, actually. Every girl is going to be a little bit unique, and you have to calibrate and base your actions and behaviors on what you're actually getting from the girl. Now, with that being said, there is some truth to this in the fact that you must emotionally treat them the same. You shouldn't walk up and think, oh my God, this girl's amazing, and you're gonna respond emotionally differently, and you're gonna put all this more investment into it. Your emotional response is what should be the same between every girl. Your action should be different. So now that we know they're different, we need to know how to treat them. How do we actually start attracting these model quality, amazing stunners that we see in the club or on the street? The first thing you have to do is actually practice in your league. Now, this is a little bit of a, let's say, controversial advice. I'm sure a lot of guys out there are being like, you deserve a 10, you can get a 10. It's simply not true. If you play an instrument, if you play a video game, you're never gonna start on hard mode. You're never gonna pick up a guitar and try shred a fucking really incredible, difficult solo. You're gonna start off easy. You're gonna go on easy mode. And so you have to start in your league. If you're going out for the first time, you're an average looking guy, and you just tell yourself, I'm just gonna hit on the most difficult girls to get, that are either super bitchy, bratty, they're incredibly hot, that are at work doing bottle service. If you just pick hard mode, you're always going to fail over and over again. You're never actually gonna realize what's working, what you need to improve on, what you need to do differently you're not going to get the right data. So practice in your own league. If you're only attracting sixes right now, then go out, talk to some sixes, build some attraction, practice, because it is going to be similar principles that you're using. If you get your tonality right, you can get some engagement, you get this girl laughing, you get her, that's going to be very similar to what you have to do later on. So start practicing your league. If you just a virgin, never slept with a girl before, you're gonna want to learn how to be a little bit better in bed. You're gonna have to learn how to relax your nerves, get comfortable before you move up. So learn the attraction process first. Understand the structure, understand the dynamics, and then go to this next point. Have a high value mindset. You need to believe you're deserving of these goals before you even open your fucking mouth. So what I want you to do is actually look back at your interactions. Think about what value you have to offer. Think about, look, if I was a girl, if I was a 10 out of 10 walking through the club, would I actually choose me? Would I be the guy that I would want to spend the night with? And if the answer is no, if you don't think you're good enough, then you're never going to be able to build attraction, sleep with, or even date any of these women. So it's time to have a real fucking conversation with yourself. So if you're living at home in your mum's basement with no purpose at all, no career path, then you're going to have to get that sorted first. Get your life in order. Have a good career path. Actually have some friends, have a social circle. Build up your confidence, build up your social skills. Get to a point where you can say, you know what, I do deserve that girl. But also, as you build up your own value, you also want to make sure that you're not unproportionately looking at her value as super high. Because yes, look, the girl is attractive, but don't pedestal her. She has good facial structure and some good genetics. That doesn't technically make her perfect, right? Like we might say 10 out of 10, but we're only really judging looks. This girl could be the most annoying, obnoxious, person you've ever met in your entire life. So live in the moment, live in the present. Like when you see a hot girl, you shouldn't emotionally think to yourself, oh fuck, she's amazing, she's so great. No. To me, I'm just thinking, okay, she's pretty. She's attractive. But I've met girls that are my type to the T. They're just like the perfect body. And sure, I've slept with them. They might have been interesting at first, but they're not girls I date. They're girls I might see a few times, might have something very casual with. And on the contrary, there might be girls that, are less attractive, but just incredible to fucking be around. So you don't want to judge too early. And this helps with the idea of not pedestaling. The idea is no one is perfect. Everyone's shit smells. So when you see the hot girl, just live in that moment. Don't emotionally work yourself up. Don't think she's fucking the greatest thing in the world. She's hot, cool, right? That's it. Don't pedestal. Play the game you want to win. If you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it's going to go its whole life feeling it's stupid. And if you compete with girls on looks, if you judge yourself and think, am I good enough for her based on this one metric of physical attractiveness, you will never feel good enough. We need to keep in mind that women don't view attraction the same way we do. We're very looks-based. We look at a girl and the first thing we judge is looks. We're like, okay, this girl's attractive, so I'm gonna find her attractive. Girls don't necessarily see the world that way. Sure, looks matter, but you will find some women that want a dad bod. But at the same time, you'll also find women that prioritize things like dominance, sexual value, the ability to understand her, your career path. They'll look at these value traits much more significantly than we will. So you can actually be a guy that is average looking, yet has all these other value traits in order and be her 10 out of 10. Be the most attractive guy in the room. So it's important when you go out to start balancing how you view attraction through her eyes and not just through your own. And the biggest value trigger you can have is emotional intelligence and sexual value. So emotional intelligence is this girl thinks, okay, he actually gets me. He understands me. And sexual value is, he's gonna give me a fucking amazing time tonight. Because again, imagine if you're a 10 out of 10 girl and you're walking through the club, it's really easy to find someone with money. It's very easy to get on a table, find a guy that's well off with a career, has a nice car. It's not that hard to find. It might be easy to find a guy with some social status. Maybe he's the DJ or he's the club manager or whatever it might be. Attractive women will always complain. They find it hard to find a guy that's socially intelligent, that understands them and actually gets them. And someone that can really be good in bed and be dominant and masculine. So these are the two biggest value traits you can actually cultivate. And they're two of the easiest you can actually cultivate when you know how to do it. Because look, I could could sit here and be like, status is the most important thing. Everyone will spend the next 20 years becoming a world famous DJ. Sure, if you do, you'll get a lot of pussy. But it's something that's almost impossible to do for every single guy out there. Something that's really achievable is understanding female dynamics, is understanding how to be better in bed, is understanding how to be more masculine and dominant. And once you have these, you can walk in the club as an average looking guy and feel like a 10. You can walk up to a girl and you can tell yourself, if I was in that girl's shoes and I could pick any guy in this club, I would pick me, because I know I'm gonna have the best time with me. This guy right here, who I am, I know how to give her an amazing emotional experience. I'm gonna understand her and I'm gonna give her the best night of her fucking life. So now that you have that understanding, you've built up that value, you have the right mindset, now it's time to actually demonstrate that value. Because you could be the most amazing guy in the room, but if you go up to the girl and you don't show her that whatsoever, she's not a mind reader at all. So you go up, you're likely just gonna get rejected or end up friend zoned, because there's a limit, right? You can go up and be a very confident, witty guy. Maybe you're a little bit better looking or an average looking guy. That will build attraction with most women. But if you're dealing with a 10 out of 10 girl, then it's not that hard for her to find a good looking guy that's witty and funny. You have to start demonstrating beyond that. You have to meet that value gap. So you have to find ways to talk about your job, to talk about your career path, to talk about the women you've been with, the places you've traveled to, your understanding of her. You're gonna have to start showing this. Now, I don't have the time in this short video to go through exactly how to demonstrate your value, but in our mastermind, I do have an hour-long webinar that goes through and explains this. We also have other content that is actually gonna show you how to build those two biggest value traits: sexual authority and female understanding. Now, there's a 2-week free trial, so if you just want to jump in, check out that content, bounce out, go for it. I don't mind. The link's down below, click that to join up. So now to summarize, you basically understand where your value sits at the moment. You build it up, you practice in your league, you develop the right mindset, you start to demonstrate that value. The last problem is access, right? You need to know where to actually find these hot women. So you're gonna have to figure out in your city where the types of girls you actually want are hanging out, where they go, what do they do. So fuck it, like maybe you wanna sign up at the yoga studio. Maybe you need to start getting access to the more exclusive clubs that might require an entry. It might require you to know someone to be able to get in. And you might wanna find out in your city what app has the hottest girls on there. So again, in our community and a mastermind, there's guys all over the world. You can join, ask them, yo, where do you go to meet the hottest girls? And they can help you out. So guys, hopefully that helps. If you have any questions, put them down in the comments, I should say. Otherwise, peace, see you next week. Subscribe if you haven't. Bye-bye.